All right, welcome back, everyone, to the interview series. Today, I got a really special guest with me. Just a quick reminder: if you guys are liking the interviews, please leave a comment and subscribe, and then let me know who you want next in the studio. But right now, today, I got a guy that I've trained with, and we prepared for the last Muay Thai World Cup together, and I'm really happy for him. I'm really proud of him. Aaron Wilson, super featherweight,
Super featherweight.
WBC Canadian champion. How does that feel?
It's kind of a little bit surreal letting it all settle in. Honestly, I've told people this before, but I'm like, it didn't kick into me for like 14 days after. I had to like take the belt out, unzip it, look at it, and like stare at it until I'm like, oh shit, this is real.
Tell me a little bit about your opponent, Henny Siam, right?
Henny Siam, yeah.
Yeah. He's like from the same province.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from a very competitive scene. Did he bring the type of fight that you were expecting, or did something surprise you in the moment?
A few things definitely surprised me with him. Like I knew that he had like a teep, kind of fake teep going to knees, so I obviously planned for that a bunch. The one thing, and I did not expect, right, and you got to give all credit to him, nothing but respect, his heart. Like, you cannot teach what that man has.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I cracked him with so many hard shots. If you go back and even watch the fights on YouTube, you'll see, like, after I've already gotten, like, a count, I think it was either round 4 or round 5, like, I hit him with something, and he, like, waved me on.
Yeah.
I was like, this guy, this guy. And, I mean, the thing is, I talked to him at the weigh-ins, I talked to him, like, after the fight and stuff like that. Like,
he's a great guy. Hey?
He's like a great guy. Like, if we ever get to see each other again, I'd be pumped about it. I'd adjust to that for this guy, but like, you can't teach what he has. I've told people this before. It's not. I wouldn't say it's his greatest strength, because obviously technically he's good. But like, I was so impressed with that, because I toot my own horn. I've cracked guys with less shots, and I've seen them crumble, and I've seen their whole demeanor change when I start landing punches. Because as a super featherweight, I know I hit pretty hard. That's what I bring to the weight class that a lot of them lack.
And part of it too is, from what you've told me, is you're comfortable competing at a higher weight class.
Mm-hmm.
So this was your first time coming to, what was the weight class? 130?
130 flat.
130 flat,
super feather.
Yeah.
I'd fought like previously at 135 as an amateur. I fought up at 140, even higher sometimes, because I wanted to get as much experience as I could. And I mean, granted, I'm probably more size-wise, probably more of a natural featherweight, but at super feather, I just feel like I make the weight comfortably. I'm not crazy undersized like I am at 135. So yeah.
Man, I think we should celebrate. I think we should. What you got there, Aaron?
I brought Johnson here, the classic Innocent Gun. All right, the Scottish Golden Beer.
Oh man,
this is one of my go-tos. It's one of the first ones I like to drink after a win. I mean, sometimes drink it.
Matured for smoothness. I like that.
Cheers, man.
Thank you, brother. Now, I don't really drink beer, but
I knew that when I grabbed them. I was like, I'll grab me one.
Man, this is pretty good.
I'll be honest too. I'd say I'd only grab you one too, because these aren't normal beers. They're 6.6%.
Ooh.
So hope you're not holding pads for any more clients later on today.
Now, for your concerning that last title win, were you at any point worried? Because the first couple rounds were competitive.
Yeah.
What were you thinking in the corner, round 3, round 4? Were you thinking like, I need to win this 5th round, or I'm doing just enough? What was going through your mind?
I mean, like, prior to those rounds, like 1 and 2, I think he outpointed me. But I was kind of in shock, like, and there's no disrespect to Henny, because I got nothing with him. I know he was playing the point game. Nothing hurt me. Nothing was, like, registering. I kind of felt like it was all, like, a dream. I was like, is this happening? Like, I'm not getting hurt. And then, like, round 3, I started to press the pace a little bit more. I had, obviously, my coaches, Karen and Mike, telling me you got to do a little bit more. And I was tense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to, like, land a big shot. Like, I'm trying to... I don't just do it for the fans. I do it for me. I like to win, in a devastating fashion. And then I mean, then I started going for rounds 3, 4, 5. I'm like, I got to do something to earn this man's respect, to get his attention, to win a round decisively, not just like, edge out at 10-9. I'm like, I need to get a knockdown or a knockout.
Yeah. What I also noticed you were implementing a lot of body work, a lot of shots to the body, and you work at Olympus Boxing Club.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had Sam, previous guest, and he's also a coach there.
Yeah.
How good has it been to been at a boxing gym just to perfect that one body punch?
Well, because my style has always been, like, when I first initially got into martial arts, I started with boxing, but, like, I started competing in kickboxing way prior before ever getting into Muay Thai. In Ontario, the scene, just especially when I was competing as an amateur, wasn't really good for Muay Thai. You go in to get a Muay Thai fight, you really end up just getting a hybrid kickboxing style. So I always would, like, sharpen my hands. If I was going to take a Muay Thai fight or a kickboxing fight or a boxing thing, I would just, I'm like, I can take this and kind of bring it all over. At Olympus Boxing Club, like, we got the best. I'm just going to say that. There's a lot of great boxing gyms out there, but there's such a high level of talent there. The talent pool is quite rich, and I get to work with high-level amateurs and pros all the time. Yeah. And these guys are no joke. Like, I feel so confident if I can handle myself there, especially with punches, let's just be real. Yeah. I feel like no one can hurt me there. And obviously at Olympus, I've eaten my fair share of body shots. So I know how much it hurts. So I kind of just like, I got that eye for it when I'm in a Muay Thai match. I'm like, I'm trying to hit these guys with everything.
It's different too, like, when a boxer punches you, it's like getting hit by a brick compared to like the average Thai boxer. I feel like the average Thai boxer definitely does not hit.
I mean, one of the things too, because I get this from a lot of the guys boxing, is like, man, the body shots you're able to like take them so well. I'm like, yeah, because I'm kind of used to getting a shin bone across the gut. Yeah. But I'd be lying if I told you, if you guys, these boxers, these pro boxers I work with, like Angelo, Habib, Jordan, The Truth, Steve Quigette. These guys hit me sometimes in the body, and it makes me question all my life choices. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know. But like, obviously,
is it too late to switch careers now?
I'm actually getting into wrestling or something. But I was like, irons sharpen irons. Everyone always hears that, but I'm like, a Thai boxer isn't gonna wallop you to the body like these guys do.
No. And looking outwardly, not just in Canada, is there anybody at 140 or not 140, 130? That you get like excited about? Is there like a dream fight that you have at 130?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked over this with Kieran. I go like, I'm a scouter. Like I was actually just watching. There was like Siam Boxing. Their YouTube channel just posted like these two guys from the UK that just fought at super featherweight. And they had a great fight. I can't remember the guy's name, but they had a great fight. I'm like, that could be a possible matchup. Obviously, I believe that I need to defend the Canadian title, prove that I'm the best, which I feel like I've already done. But sure as hell doesn't. Hurt to show everybody twice, maybe 3 times, and then take it international. I was watching the world title. It was just fought from a guy, an Italian opponent versus a guy from Spain, the Canary Islands, and they just fought. I mean, 5 fights from now, realistically, I could be fighting these guys.
Realistically, 100%.
Realistically, and I say that's the dream fight. One of the guys, Carmelo, the other guy, Isaac, or however you say his name. I think these guys would be the guy. Like, I think whoever ends up getting it, I don't know who the belt went to, but whoever ends up getting it, I feel like that might be my future opponent.
That's surreal. All right. How did you find the cut? Because you're very knowledgeable yourself on nutrition and caloric deficits and things like that. So how was the cut?
For me, honestly, I tell you this, and I know it sounds weird. Like, I walk around like in shape, probably 10% or less body fat, like 141. Like, I'm going to bed at like 141, 142.
And you don't really get out of that, really?
I'm not really, like, maybe I'm out of it right now because I've just been living off pizza. And Johnson just gave me some empanadas before I came here. So I might be tipping the scale a bit heavy. But I still train, and I lose it fast, right? Yeah.
Because you also have a fast metabolism.
Yeah, I exercise a lot. Like, I am a personal trainer. I do all my own strength conditioning. I've been doing personal training since I was like 16. Like, I've been working in the gym since I was 16, so I'm no stranger to this. This weight cut went smooth as could be. I have a really good understanding of like all the small things, like water loading, depleting my glycogen levels, and then a little bit of stripping of the sodium, and then I literally just had to sweat out like 3 pounds. I did it in like 35 minutes. I came under 2 I made at. I was like 128.6 before I left for the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And I was like under, and I was like, shit, I guess I could make featherweight. I never really thought it was a possibility because I haven't weighed that since I was like 12. But I just couldn't have been easier. The reloading, I feel like I did wrong. I got a little happy, I started drinking all the fluids, and people like Johnson here had like chips and blackberries.
Oh, don't, you can't expose me like
that. I saw people eating food. I got a little excited. I probably had a donut.
It was so funny. Like, we were at the weigh-ins in front of the scales, and I crack open watermelon, and I just feel like everybody watching me crack open this loud watermelon.
Yeah, I tell people, I was saying this to a few people, I don't actually have a sweet tooth. I've never had a sweet tooth, but when those last like 5 days, when you're living off like less than 25 grams of carbs, you're so like sugar deprived, and then I start cutting the sodium out on some of my foods. And for those who don't know, I'm an East Coaster. Like, we have salt on everything. If it doesn't have salt, we're probably not eating it. Everything tasted bland. Like, I honestly just skipped a few meals because I'm like, I don't want to taste anything. It doesn't have any flavor. But yeah, man, it was like the cut couldn't have gone better. The reload, I intend on having it way better on the next fight.
And I'm gonna ask you, what's it like training with Kieran? Because you also did a little bit of work with him in preparation for the fight, and obviously he was in your corner. What's it like to have that experience on your side and in the heat of battle?
To be honest with you, this, like, because he's seen it all, like, obviously there's nothing but respect for him. But the one thing I really always appreciate, because I had him and my boxing coach, Mike, in my corner, and these guys are very knowledgeable. And Kieran always makes me smile because I always say he's so relaxed. He'll be like, you having fun? Yeah, you having fun here? Yeah. And he said it to me with my last fight against Min, and I was like, what an odd fucking question to ask me during this moment where, like,
in the middle of battle,
but I go, he knows how to, like, calm me down. For those who don't know me, I'm a pretty mellow dude, but when it comes to fighting, I got murder on my mind, and I need to, like, relax. And he makes me remember that, like, hey, man, like, you chose to be here, you're doing this, it's not something you have to do, it's a gift, right? And he makes me realize, I am having fun in here. I worked my ass off to get here. I want to enjoy the moment. I mean, I can't stress enough. Without him, I don't feel like I'd be as confident in there, right? Because I know he's seen it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a weapon to have Kieran in the corner, because, like you said, he's seen it all, and not only has he seen it all, realistically, he's seen even higher level fights. You know, so you kind of know, like, here's a guy that's trained 23 world champions.
Yeah, that's wild.
You know what I mean? So think about how crazy that is. Like, he's been in the corner 23 times in world title fights. Like,
yeah, and like countless amount of other times. I remember watching him listen to him, I should say, commentate all these fights. Yeah. And then he came to Canada, and I was like, whoa, that's trippy, eh? Like, small world.
It's weird, yeah. It's weird. It is weird because I've listened to him commentate on, like, Infusion and Muay Thai Grand Prix and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Like, and one of the things too, and I say, like, and for those who don't know, but like fighters don't know this, you're lucky if you're operating at like 1/16 of what you do in sparring. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're like a stellar guy, you're just like, the top tier in sparring. You're lucky if 1/16 of that shows in a fight, at least in my experience. Damian Trainer used to say, like, if you throw like, 4 strike combos, you're lucky if you throw like 2 when it comes into the fight. Like, you're always doing a little less. So one thing that, obviously Kieran and I always game plan, but I trained the same technique with Mike and Kieran, the exact same one. I trained a lot of crosses to the body and the check hook. Johnson and I spar a lot. So check hook is my favorite, literally my favorite punch. And because, like, people are so used to me coming forward. And
it's the most annoying punch.
Yeah, ever. And, like, I trained it with so many times, like, countless reps with Mike and Kieran. And then, like, it literally worked so many times. Like, I know it sounds bad, but I'm, like, in the fight, I was like, fuck, that was smooth. I'm like, yeah. I was like, he would try to step in with the knee, and I'd either turn the corner, or I'd whip the check hook around the corner. And I love it when a plan comes together,
1,000%. How many rounds did we end up doing?
Oh, man, I have to go back. I track all the sparring sessions that Johnson and I do. For those who don't know, Johnson was my main sparring partner. I had many sparring partners, but my main sparring partner throughout this camp.
I think it had to have been over 200 because it was 20 sessions for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you do 10 rounds minimum every single time. So yeah, like probably 200 rounds, just you and I. And that's not including all the other rounds we do with other people.
Yeah. Training outside of that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we'd go twice a week.
It adds up. Like I took this. I'm like, I didn't get tired. Like I straight up didn't get tired. I mean, I didn't throw as much as I should have, so that could have been a reason why I didn't get tired.
Yeah.
But I just plan on putting in more next time. I got to make up on my next fight for all the punches I didn't throw, all the kicks that I did throw this time. I might come out of my next fight and have to start off with like, 20 kicks. I might just have to treat it like a pads. I'm owing some.
That's pretty funny. What do you think about the argument is that people say like, oh, in Muay Thai, like a kick should be scored more than a punch? What do you think about that? Or do you think it's just the impact of the strike?
I'm biased. I mean, I'm obviously not a judge. I have more of like a kickboxing style. Like I really like K1 and even Glory, like that kind of style. The person who inspired me to get in this was Ramon Deckers, and like he used to say like, I gotta, like when he's fighting over in Thailand, fighting these high level Thais, he's like, I gotta knock him out. Like I'm not gonna win a decision.
Yeah.
And granted, like if you win by points, you still won. For me, like obviously won by unanimous decision. I'm not satisfied with that. Like I always want to get a finish. So I'm like, for me, damage obviously is scored number one. If you don't get a knockout, it's damage. But obviously, if, it's equal. It's like points. I don't know about a kick scoring as much as a punch. I think it's like wherever it landed more flush.
Yeah.
But there's guys like Yodson Clyde and Pech Pamarong, and when they kick people, even though they arm block, and I'm like, geez, I don't know how much that block worked.
They're obliterating their opponent's forearms.
I feel like it's relative in terms of power. If a person's just flicking their kick up there, like a cheerleading kick, and it touches your arms, I don't think it should score more than even like a cross to the body.
Yeah, that's fair.
No disrespect. I just don't think it should. I feel like damage matters. I don't care if you're going forward and back, but it's whoever's landing the more effective strikes.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a person to have a great understanding of the sport to understand, like, hey, a knockdown,
obviously, yeah.
An 8 count. Like, I feel like these things matter more.
But I feel like whatever brings you closer to a knockdown or a knockout is what's valuable. Like, if you hit a guy with a straight right hand to the body, and then immediately after he, like, stretches his back and gasps for air and takes a deep breath, it's like that's closer to a knockdown than a kick on one arm or you know what I mean?
And that's one thing too, like, and then Kieran and I were always talking about, like, I gotta answer back more.
Yeah.
And like kickboxing, I say, like, that's what I'm saying, like that arm kick is blocked. In Muay Thai it's like a point. And I'm like that's always a hard transition. For those like in Canada or like North America in general, like having to get used to that when you fight like Muay Thai is a little funky. Yeah, I feel like here in Western world we like the punches a little bit more. You know what I mean?
More exciting.
Yeah.
Aaron, we have the 5th round of your title fight, and I just want you to kind of give me some commentary as it plays.
I mean, just for future reference, the standing count, I should say, was in 4th round. So
it just happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So the last round, let's see it. What's up?
So here we're going into the 4th round.
Man, I'm just so pumped about how game hand he was. Like, he just
got a real opponent.
He just got a 10-8 round. Like, he probably won the first 2, in my opinion, by, like, if you're scoring the 10-9. 3rd could have gone either way. I felt like I won the 3rd, but the 4th was definitely a 10-8 in my favor because of the count, and I was walloping him. We're watching right now. He did a lot of, like, long guarding. Like, I had to, like, hand fight a lot with him, which, that's the one...
You take, you thread the back take nicely there.
Yeah, I mean, we were hand fighting so frequently. Like, I was, like, just trying to nullify the clinch. And that's one thing, too, boxing at Olympus. Like, there's a lot of, obviously, great boxers. But you don't hand fight like you do in Thai boxing. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
no.
It's like...
Solid push kick.
Yeah, I throw all 5 teeps in this round.
And there's that body work, man. You can just see, like, the effect it's had already.
Yeah, I'm hoping, in the future, these are 10-ounce gloves. I'm hoping that I get to fight with the 8s.
Yeah.
Just like, obviously it benefits your opponent too, but I feel like for a person who's so punch style, like punch down, there's that check hook.
Textbook.
Just turn in circles.
And you've been doing that throughout the fight. Right hand to the body. Jab to the body. Very, very nice.
Like Haney's body was solid. I'm fourth round. I remember cracking him with a huge shot to the body, and he like looked at me. His eyes went open, and he like walked at me like a zombie. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, can this guy is like just made of steel.
He's a tough man, Henny. I feel like Henny will definitely we will see him again. I feel like he's very determined. I'm interested to see what his comeback fight after this is going to be like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's trying for that step through knee a bunch. Me just turning that corner, that little boxing turn, like angle. Hand fighting well. Like, I know Handy tried for a few elbows, and that was obviously a concern to me. I have my hands a little bit more loose and relaxed like a boxer.
Yeah.
Head roll, teep.
Even obviously this is the 5th round, so he's worn out, but his punches are not as explosive as yours.
No. I mean, he had the points concept. Like, I'm not saying that Handy can't crack, because I bet he could knock someone out if we gave him the opportunity. Like, it's just he was obviously trying to overwhelm me with volume and combinations.
A nice uppercut.
Yeah.
That was slick.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have heard me in the crowd, dude. I was going crazy.
You know what's funny is, like, I didn't hear a lot. Like, my wife's in the table, like, behind me here, and she's the loudest, and I could never hear her. But I actually heard my other, because I have 2 coaches. I have Mike. I actually heard him.
How's, excellent round.
Yeah, this is a
action
push.
packed.
You know what? I said this to a few people. I go, like,
Awesome.
I like pretty much all of my opponents. I got, it's a fight to me. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of this round, I'm like, I had nothing but respect. I was like, this motherfucker, like, I hit him with so much shit. And he's still there. Obviously, I'm like, a unanimous decision. I won, but like, I'm not happy with decisions ever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, winning a decision in a fight is so weird because
it's like you didn't. I don't know. I'm old school in that way. Like, if they said you fight till one of you quits or one of you gets knocked out, I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, I feel like I would thrive in a fight that was like a set of 5 threes. It was just one 15-minute round to go.
Just one long round.
I mean, but I always feel like, because it's like, endurance is a factor, obviously, but I always say, like, it's kind of a battle of wills.
Mm-hmm. So, what's next for you?
Title defense.
Title defense. Let's go. It's
looking like July for the next Muay Thai World Cup. I think it's like scheduled on like the last week of Stampede, like something like that. That's so crazy. It's like, hopefully there's just as big as an attendance there was as this last time. This is the last time. There's a lot of great energy.
That was big, man.
I was pumped.
It was like over 2,000 people there live, and then for Calgary, that's really big because the other local shows, they'll drag like 200, 300 people, and it's just mostly friends and family. But like, just the atmosphere of this, like, even during Quinn's fight in the main event, because Jake Lee and Quinn both draw in a pretty good crowd themselves.
Yeah, Dynamis is awesome.
Yeah, and just the atmosphere there was amazing. It was like, it felt like a proper pro fight card. It felt very professional. I think Kieran did a fantastic job. I'm
not sure on the numbers, but I know like the very first Muay Thai World Cup, like it was like November 2019, some shit like that. We did it, and there was like a huge crowd, like it was massive sellout, and like then the obviously pandemics plural happened, and then like there was like some outdoor cards, there were some cards with the lower attendance because you had to be vaccinated and whatnot. But this one is where the restrictions were lifted and like people were kind of like actually going out and socializing. I feel like there was probably just as many or just slightly shy as an attendance as the first event, so it almost felt like, oh shit, this is real. Like, this is actually amazing. Like, obviously, Muay Thai World Cup, like, Kieran, they all know how to put on a show. They know how to get asses in seats. Yeah. And obviously, you need the talent. Like, having, like, 3 Dynamis fighters on it is good because they draw in a lot of people.
It was smart.
And there's a lot of good elite fighters on the card. I mean, and these guys are local, so, of course, they're going to bring in a lot of the local fans.
Yeah. But it even felt like it was just... It was more than just the people who were fighting, like their friends, their family, their gym people. It just felt like normal people were
100%.
were watching fights, and I think that's so awesome. Like, it's different watching fights live. It's a little bit more dramatic than watching on TV because, for one, you get to really hear the impact.
Oh yeah.
You know, when someone connects a really hard body shot, it's when you're watching on a computer screen, it doesn't translate as much. When you watch it in real life and you're ringside and you watch somebody just get blasted to the body, you're you can't help but make that cringe face, you know?
And for those who, like, bought the pay-per-view and, like, nothing but respect, I obviously appreciate the people because I have a lot of friends and old training partners in Ontario that obviously couldn't fly out for this. But they watched and got the pay-per-views, and I appreciate that. But, man, I always tell people, like, it is nothing like watching a fight live. Also, too, man,
100%.
Hearing bare shin bone hit someone, not like shin guards, like because a lot of the amateur cards that people go and see, I really feel like it takes out the realism and the appeal when you have them shin guards on. Hearing that bare shin crack a body or slam into another bare shin, like that's real. I mean, obviously, maybe there's something wrong with me. I really like that sound. Like, it makes it feel
it's
like
a very distinct sound. I feel like if you played it, just like an audio clip, I would know exactly what that sound is, like shin to shin.
Yeah.
Now, were you worried at all that because your last fight was in 2019 in November on that first Muay Thai World Cup? Were you worried that, you know, like, hey, Hanny's been fighting more recently? Did that play any type of mental games with you throughout camp?
So I made a big mistake because I'm a numbers guy. Like, I like to calculate everything. So I was like, hey, man, how long has it been since I fought? So I calculated the days from the last fight I fought Min until now, and it was something like 2 years and 4 months, like 800 something wild days. And when I read it, I was like, oh. Shit. Like, I go, that's been a time, right? Like, like I thought to myself, like, I'm gonna have some ring rust, and I felt like that kind of did me in a little bit. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have some ring rust, and I obviously did, but I was like, I don't know, man. Like, it was a strange thing. I definitely felt rusty in there, and I know at Henny, obviously he went through the pandemic as well, but like he had fought more recently than I had.
Yeah.
And I think when we talked after, he actually had just a few more fights than I did. Like, it was like we were pretty evenly matched in terms of experience. He just had maybe a handful more fights than I did, and he had just fought in a tournament in the States.
I think he had fought in that TBA.
The TBA one, yeah. I'm not sure if he won it or not, but like I saw some of his highlights. He looked like he did great.
Yeah, he might have. That's like a big tournament in the States for the amateur fighters. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's interesting because, like, for me, like, I had, there was 1 year where I just had, like, a year off, and I really found that, like, it was playing games with me, like, not thinking to myself, like, I have been sitting out, and my opponent's been fighting this entire time.
Yeah.
It kind of does play with you a little bit, but when Kieran came up to you and proposed this title fight to you, what was your immediate reaction?
To be honest with you, it was a little bit of both. Like, I remember being at home, and I was looking at, like, the WBC rankings, because, like, I'm always on looking for fights, and just, like, it's all I do. And I saw that these belts vacant in Canada, right?
Let's go.
And I put up, like, a post on my Instagram being, like, mine. If you go back on my account, you'll see, like, it was, like, I don't know, like, maybe it was, like, a year prior, and I did that. Like, I knew Kieran already kind of wanted me to do it, and then that, like, solidified the, all right, well, like, I'm game. You know, I'm going to work up to it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, he approached me and I had already had it in my mind. It worked out perfectly. And not to toot my own horn, but I would say, like, in terms of, like, professional Muay Thai and professional, like, maybe even kickboxing, I'm just saying. At my weight class, I feel like I'm the best in Canada. And soon, hopefully, improve on the best in North America.
100%. You know, and I believe that too. Like, I've seen enough of the Canadian Muay Thai and kickboxing game when I was, like, sparring Aaron in the gym and this and that, and just move. Like, Aaron is just different. Like, he's just different. He's got excellent techniques. He's precise, and I just knew he was gonna take this title fight. I mean, but Henny was game as well. What do you think about these rankings here? So this is the WBC rankings for super featherweight. So we have basically from 1 through 6, they're all ties.
They're all ties. That's normal, because I tell people this all the time. When I have a lot of, as a personal trainer, I have a bunch of clients that already ask me, like, they're like, how do you make it down to 130? And I laugh. I'm like, well, I weigh 140 something when I'm in shape, and I only have to weigh 130 for like 2 seconds until I get like fluid in my hand. Yeah. And I was saying like it's not a lot. It's a very shallow division here, but it's probably like one of the most populated in Thailand. If you look at the rankings, yeah, it's like the first 6 are all Thai, and actually number 7 and 8 are the guys who just fought. They're both the international champs. Yeah. These guys just fought for the world. The guy from Spain and the guy from Italy just fought. So it's like, you know, look at the talent pool. Like it's all Thailand. It's literally all Thailand. How
would you approach fighting a Thai? I mean, that's kind of an open-ended question because obviously, you know, 1 through 6 they're gonna have their own individual styles and their own things they're good at.
Yeah.
But generally, if I talk to you like, okay, this guy's just gonna teep left kick. How do you approach that fight?
Well, I mean, I've never fought a Thai like Johnson has. I fought a lot of West, like, you know, I fought like Canadians and Americans and whatnot. So, like, I feel like if I was getting someone who's just so kick dominant, I'd have to really plan for that. Like, even when I think about Thai fighters, the ones that I really, really like fight a lot like kickboxers. Like, I really like Enuat and, like, Kobong. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like, a lot of guys from the Sitmonchai gyms, like the heavy low kicks and the hard punches. I still kind of just like that style. Ramon Deckers is being my number 1. But, I mean, like, he was like a hybrid of kickboxing and Muay Thai. If I was thinking like that, I mean, like, I'd obviously have to answer the kicks back with my own kicks or maybe even just like big combinations, mix the rhythm up, you know. Definitely do some of the things that Kieran told me to do during this fight. Because these Thais, like, they play that kick game. And as much as I hate the points game, that's how they're going to approach it.
That's how they're going to approach.
Yeah, they're gonna treat me like a soccer ball, man. And, like, I gotta answer back. I mean, because one of the things that I've always had an issue with, I feel like, is just, like, if it doesn't hurt, it, like, doesn't register.
You know, I had the same problem because me and Aaron fought on the same card, and I had the same problem in my fight. I just felt like if it didn't cause me immediate danger, I felt like it didn't need to be addressed as much.
Yeah, for those who don't know, like the way it works and things, there's like 10 amateur fights and like 5 pro. I watched all the amateur fights, but I had to go to the back, get my hands wrapped, so I had to miss the one amateur fight that I really want. Not to disrespect all the other amateurs, but like the one amateur I was most invested in was Johnson's, and I couldn't get to see it. And then like I'm in the back with his other coach Francois, right? Like, and I'm like listening, and I'm like, hey man, like, and then someone comes in, I'm like, hey, did you win? They're like, no, I lost the decision. I'm like, well, fuck, that's a bummer, because I know he can't get hurt, so he probably like, you know, lost the decision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think obviously anybody can get hurt. I mean, it's fighting, man. Like, when I say like, oh, I didn't take damage or this and that, I just felt like in the moment he couldn't hurt me. But if I dive bomb on a knee, you know what I mean? It just is what it is. But yeah, I came into the back. I was all like sad and this and that.
I remember it was kind of a bummer.
And I was like, Aaron, you have to redeem the night for me now. You have to do this. You have to win now.
I remember him just like he was talking to his coaches, like Kieran and Francois, and being like, man, I feel like it was like a spar, and like, you know, like I feel like I didn't get hurt. And I'm like, well, he obviously didn't. Like, he came to the back like with like barely any sweat on me, and maybe had a glisten, and like I had no marks on it. I'm like, you know, like in my head, and this is me. I'm like, you gotta do damage. And I watched the fight. I watched it. Like, I saw how it could give it to the other guy, and that guy was good. I mean, like,
you know, I'm not gonna say anything about bad about Bradley, because I think Bradley's a great fighter. I think he was, you know, his nickname was the Matrix.
Smooth.
Like Lomachenko. And he was definitely slippery. So
he looked a little slippery.
Yeah, he was definitely slippery. He's a good fighter. You know, I don't blame him. I definitely feel like, personally, I feel like I won. But when you have such a close fight and you give it to the judges, you can't be so invested in the results. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. Like, yes, I should have rallied. Yes, I should have returned the low kicks. But I mean, I'm just gonna go back and get better, essentially.
And you're one of the examples. When I talked earlier in this, I was saying, like, you're lucky if you operated at a 16th of what you do in sparring. Because like Johnson and I spar all the time, and obviously bigger than him, and multiple weight classes above. And like, if I kick him once, I get hit back with 3, and I'm like, and I've like, man, this guy can rally. Like, if you just go back and forth with him, like, he'll outpoint you. He'll do like at least 2 to your 1 in a ratio. But then, if you're in a fight, it's different.
It's different.
It's just not the same. And, for those who train martial arts and do recreational sparring or even compete, I go, there's some assassins in sparring.
Yeah.
But they just can't put a win together, even on the amateur scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just different other than bright lights. It's just different.
It is different on the bright lights. You just operate at such a nerved state.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about who you're also fighting. Like, you're fighting against a guy that's had the same amount of notice as you, trains every day, eats healthy. Like, these guys are trained killers, literally trained killers. I want to change the topic a little bit to more lightheartedness. How has martial arts shaped your life, and what does it mean to you?
I mean, that's I typically, so I've been into fitness since I was a kid. Like, fitness in general. But, I got into martial arts like most people do because I needed to learn how to defend myself. I got into boxing initially. I could still, I'm a numbers guy, so, I could still, pinpoint watching this first fight. I was watching, I think I just, it was just after or just before my birthday. It was, May, and I was watching, Inturo Gotti, Mickey Ward on TV. The first one, right? And I remember watching it and just being astonished by the comeback that Mickey Ward was making. And then, I thought to myself, I'm like, man, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked. I need to learn how to, do this. Quickly got off to doing boxing. I invested all my time into it. And, those who don't know, I literally tried my hand at pretty much everything. Boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. I even did one MMA fight. I felt like it was amazing. Growing up in Ontario, it's far too easy to get yourself into trouble. And when I hit, I think I was 20. And, I think I just finished, college. And I, did really good, obviously. I graduated with honors and stuff. And I'd worked a bunch of labor jobs. I was like, I hate this shit. I hate all of it. I don't want to go to school again. I finished it. I don't want to do this. And I'd always loved martial arts. And I said, I was 20. I was like, I'm gonna commit myself to this. I'm gonna try and I had small goals at first. I'm gonna have one amateur fight.
Yeah.
Then I had one. I'm like, all right, I gotta have 5. Then at 5, I'm like, I gotta have 10. I'm like, well, shit, I gotta win a title. You know what I mean?
Now you're in. Yeah.
And I slowly kept creeping myself. But I was martial arts literally, and I'm not a troublemaker for those listening. But I feel like it gave me something to invest my time into. You know what I mean?
Just keep talking, Aaron.
Without that, I don't know what I'd be doing. I might have a different job. I might have a different, I don't even know what the world would look like if I didn't have martial arts. For me, it was an outlet. I truly loved it. Without it, who knows where I'd be.
Man, literally, the most Spanish thing just happened to me right now. My mom walked in, and she just brought in a bag of rice. Just a bag of rice. My mom never visits me, so it's just perfect that it just happens to be right on the interview, and she comes in here with just food.
So Johnson didn't get that last couple of seconds because he had to run out. But I feel like I repeated myself 3 times. In summary, in case you didn't get that, martial arts changed my life. I don't know where I'd be without it. I felt like it really gave me a proper avenue for success.
I mean, specifically from a point of 20-year-old you, a young man. Why martial arts though? You know what I mean? What gave you that sense of purpose that martial arts provided? Why not just fitness? Why not just lifting and pursuing CrossFit or something like this?
It's I did Olympic lifting and stuff like that, and I competed in that, and I was strong. I did skateboarding and dancing. And for those who know, I never played a single sport in my life. I've never played soccer, never played American football, never played hockey, which is
any team sports.
I never played team sports, and it's not because I'm not a team player. I just find it boring. And I have a lot of people that play sports, and I have nothing but respect for them. But I'm not into putting a hoop. I'm putting a ball in a hoop.
I'm the same way, Aaron, but you got to be careful who you say that to, because some people are...
Hey, man, I talked to them. I go, it's no disrespect to you. I mean, basketball, awesome, crazy good athletes. American football, crazy good athletes. It's a good thing. Just my outlet is this, their outlet is that. But for me, I just wasn't a team sport person. So, when I was doing things growing up, I was I did all things that were individualistic. Obviously, there was a team helping you, but I did Olympic lifting. I did breakdancing. I did skateboarding. Skateboarding was a thing invested a lot of my time into. But at the time, I was always going back to like boxing because it was the only thing I could really find at the time. There was no kickboxing or Muay Thai or MMA. And I just found it. It's also too, and probably like it's because I'm so obsessive. I really, really sucked. I was not naturally gifted at boxing. Like the only thing I was naturally gifted at in boxing was like using my face to block everything. Like I tell you this all the time because like it's the same boring story that everybody hears. And not to like devalue everyone else, but like everybody who's like super small. And I got bullied a lot, and I couldn't fight to save my life. And you think, oh, he could get his ass kicked. He should either A, learn to fight or learn to shut up. And I just couldn't do either. It took me fucking so long to get even slightly good. But because I was so obsessive, right, it kind of always, I kept like, I would take, what people could do, I felt like in a month, it took me a year.
It's so funny.
I wasn't naturally talented at all.
It's so funny you say that because, like, I started doing martial arts. I started doing Taekwondo, and I remember being a white belt and just getting my ass kicked in every single like little competition, like little in the gym, like tournaments and competitions, and I would just get wrecked. I would just get wrecked, like 12-year-old me was just getting kicked in the face, like back kicked, getting styled on, and then like what you said, I was just so stubborn to just stay in that room and just show up. That eventually, it's just you started getting good.
And it's like, I'm sure it applies to everything. If you actually want to be good, all right, you have to invest your time. Like one of the things that I used to love, and one of the gyms that I really developed my style in was hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. And that's one of those old like corny lines, but it's real, man. Like I wasn't naturally talented, you know what I mean, at all, and by any means, in anything I ever had an interest in. I felt like I picked like projects, or I picked sports, if you want to call it, or just simply hobbies that I just sucked at, and it was so fascinating with them, and I just put all my time and effort into them. Martial arts is just one, like, to be honest with you, what I was, like, growing up, like, if you were good at basketball, awesome, okay? But, like, if if me and him fought, and I whooped his ass, he wouldn't be like, oh, man, well, I can shoot hoops better than you. Like, no one cares. Like, you're like, I can kick the ball better than you. All right, well, come over here and let's go fucking play Quidditch. Like, it didn't matter to me. It was like, it was always about fighting. That was like the number one thing. And I became so fascinated with that, probably because I sucked. And I'm like, I gotta learn. I gotta learn how to do this stuff. And obviously it steered me down the right path because, like, honestly, people think you're gonna do martial arts and you're gonna, like, take that skill you learned and use it for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. But for me, I just became so fascinated with the sport. I became so overwhelmed by it that I like couldn't care about anything else.
Yeah. If you were to go back and you would tell, like, Aaron Wilson, like when he had his first fight, that like one day he'd be professional WBC champion of Canada. What do you think? How do you think he would have reacted to that?
Wouldn't have believed him. I did not have any confidence as a kid, any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't have believed my own self. And like, two, like, I didn't ever think I was going to compete until I was 20. So like at that time as a kid, like I had such minuscule goals as a kid. So maybe that was just me being under ambitious. But I remember thinking like, I want to just, pass grade school without getting in trouble. I want to go to high school and I want to not get in trouble. And I just want to like, where like, I just like, it was funny because I never really imagined my world outside of martial arts. Like I just imagined I was going to do it. I never thought I was going to compete. You know what I mean? Like if myself right now came back and told him, hey man, like you did it, I would have never believed myself. Like it seemed impossible. But at that age, when I started martial arts, I didn't have that goal of competing as much.
Do you think you're always going to train, like even as an old man? Do you think you're always going to train, do something?
To the day my hips stop working, I'll be kicking. And to the days my shoulders give out on me, I'll be punching. Like, I look at what I do right now, man, and I'm saying, like, I'm setting myself up for success in the future. Like, I strength train regularly. I stretch. I do all the stuff you're supposed to do. Maybe I don't always eat the best or whatever like that, but, like, I love being physical. I look at it as a gift. And as a fighter, Coach Kieran is always saying this, like, your career is so short. This is going to be over soon. And, like...
It's crazy to me because...
It's going to be over so soon.
To me, it feels like 1 year feels like forever right now.
Man, I know You know, like it's such a small amount of time in your life. Like even let's say you live to 80, maybe your career, if you're lucky, is 10 years. That's such a smidge of time, and how many fights you're gonna have, especially as a Canadian. You're not gonna have crazy amount of fights in that time. You're not entitling.
Yeah.
It's gonna be over before you know it, and for me, I'm very fortunate that, like, as a personal trainer, I love every second of what I do. Like, I literally can't remember the last time I had to go to work and be like, fuck my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I genuinely love what I'm doing. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to focus all of my attention on bettering other people, whether it be through martial arts or general fitness or, competing in other, sports, whatever it may be. That's where my focus is going to be. Because, I mean, you can't always be a fighter because it just would turn you into a narcissistic asshole. Let's just be real. You got to be all in it. You got to be a little selfish to be a fighter. You got to take your time seriously.
Yeah. 100%. Aaron, honestly, I think that was my best interview to date.
Ooh.
we're gonna.
It's just because I gave Johnson a beer, everybody.
Man, this beer is good too. Like, I'm not a beer guy, but I'm kind of about this.
There's like so many of these Innocent Gun. Also Innocent Gun, if you're listening, hook me up with a sponsor because Guinness did not get back to me.
You have to sponsor the Canadian champion. He's literally like the #1 fighter in Canada. Come
I'm from Nova Scotia, so like there's still some like Scottish descent in there somewhere. So hook me up.
There you go.
Send me a pack.
Aaron, it was awesome having you. Do you have any closing thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, but for those who are listening, make sure you tune in for the next one. Muay Thai World Cup is scheduled to be in July. I believe it's July 16th.
I believe it's July 16th as well, yeah.
I'll be making my first title defense. I plan on doing even better. I feel like I put on a pretty exciting fight last time. Obviously respect to Hanny. It takes two to tango. I want to put on even a better fight, a better match than I did this time. And as always, I'm trying to break face. So like you got to show up because I'm swinging every single time to try and knock someone out. I got bad intentions, just the way it is.
Let's go, man. Every time Aaron fights, man, I watch, man. The guy's exciting. But other than that, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you want to follow Aaron on Instagram, the link's gonna be down in the description. So stay tuned. Watch the space, guys.